Hello, hello. Good to see you guys here today. Welcome on in, everyone, to another Around the World trip. This is day 53 of the Around the World trip, and today we're here back at Canyonlands Airport, just northwest of Moab, Utah. And today we're here with a pretty exciting flight here today. We'll be checking out two more of the amazing U.S. national parks. So we'll be checking out Grand Teton and Yellowstone today on this Around the World trip. So I hope you guys had a great weekend of flying around the sim. So I hope you guys are doing well. It's great to see you guys here once again for this trip. I got a pretty exciting little flight plan to show you guys for this flight plan. So before we get started, I want to say hello to the chat. Hello to all you guys lurkers and in the chat. I hope you all are enjoying your day here today. So let's go over this flight plan really briefly before we get started with the plane we'll be taking out today. So we'll be flying the FS Reborn Piper M500, but we'll be starting here at Canyonlands Airport. We'll be started there. We'll be starting here today. First stop will take us it'll take us north. We'll fly up to the altitude and fly our way over to our first stop here at KEMM-KJAC Airport, Kilo Echo Mike. Then from here, we'll make our second stop here at Jackson Hole Airport, one of the most scenic airports in the country, and the only commercial airport located within the national park, which is Grand Teton. Then after visiting Grand Teton, fly over Jackson Lake. We'll make our way over to Yellowstone National Park. We'll tour around the area, featuring Yellowstone Lake. Then we'll go a little slower. Fly over Old Faithful, Morning Glory Pool, Biscuit Basin. We'll be flying over those areas. Then we'll check out Firehose Spring, the Grand Prismatic Spring, of course. Check that out. Firehose Springs, Perry Falls. We'll be checking over all those areas, and then we'll visit, of course, the Grand Canyon of the Yellowstone. We'll check out Yellowstone Falls. Inspiration Point. We'll check out this area here. Then we'll make our way to Mammoth Hot Springs. And then from there, we'll fly our way to our final destination here today. We'll be visiting Bozeman, Yellowstone, Montana's largest airport. And we'll visit Bozeman and Montana State University, and we'll make our way over to Bozeman, Yellowstone, one of the more scenic major airports in the country. Pretty scenic. And the reason for that is so we're gonna fly from Bozeman to Vancouver, and that'll be on next Friday's flight. So of course we're gonna take the Piper M500 today. Shouldn't take that long for a flight. So we're going to take the M500 on today's stream. You guys know about it. It's from FS Reborn. It's one of the very best general aviation planes in the sim you can buy for your money. Absolutely amazing plane. Tons of stuff. Great details. Flies super nice. We've flown this plane before in the journey, so one of my favorites. So let's go ahead and get this thing started. We're gonna get this started. I'm gonna give myself plenty of fuel. Well, let's see what she's got. Let's see what she's got. Hey, she's on. Nice. So let's go ahead and now I think we can get going. So we're gonna be taking off here from runway 21. The altitude for today's flight is actually gonna be 14. We're gonna actually climb to 14,000 feet for the first leg of the trip. 1,000. And of course our heading is going to be 339. If you guys want to join on in, by the way, we're in the Southeast Asian server. Here we go, guys. Oh, thank you. Thanks for the bot ban again. You know. Well, now we're officially have blasted off Canyonlands National Park. We'll climb at 1,500 feet per minute, so we're going to be climbing to our cruising altitude, 14,000 feet, the first leg of the trip. So it's about 400. Our trip will be 450 nautical miles, and since this thing it'll be about 2 hours, so it might take longer because I do want to fly a little slower around the national park. The last leg will be quite a bit slower, since I want to check out the national parks. I want to go a little slower, take the more scenic approach. We've flown actually this route similar to this route on one of the streams. It was actually in this same plane, by the way. But for this one, we flew from Salt Lake to Jackson, then Jackson all the way up to Missoula. Actually, we went all the way to Missoula. So this time we're gonna end up in Bozeman this time. So I hope you're also having a good weekend so far. Currently for me, I was doing some Firefly air flying yesterday. That's what I've been doing. So one of the big things coming from here today going to be some of the news, of course. I don't think there's anything really new. There really isn't too many news. So there really hasn't been much news. Though college football season, week 1 just is currently happening right now for college football. It did officially continue to go for college football this week. So there have been some pretty big scores throughout the top 25 this past week. Turns out no major upsets this week. From some of the more notable games, Penn State dominated West Virginia in Morgantown, 34-12. Georgia absolutely destroyed Clemson in Atlanta. Why is that ever a neutral site? Miami goes into the swamp and crushes Florida, 41-7. Notre Dame goes and beats Texas A&M in Kyle Field, 23-13. And last night, Arizona just shellacked New Mexico, 61-39. Under a record-breaking 304 yards and 10 receptions by Tetraroa McMillan. Absolutely just dominant in that game. And of course, both Alabama and Ole Miss shut out their opponents by scores 63-0 against Western Kentucky and 76-0 against Furman, respectively. It was ugly, to say the least. So, not much went on this week in terms of upset for the top 25. But if you look at conferences, yesterday Louisville won yesterday. The Cardinals absolutely crushed Austin Peay 62-0. Great win for the University of Louisville. They're now 1-0 on the season. But to be fair, this was a gimme game. So, pretty big stuff from here as well. Um, Also, for our Las Vegas, also Pittsburgh won against Kansas State, which is because one of our virtual airline hubs is in Pittsburgh. So Pittsburgh got a convincing win over Kent State. Kent State's not very good at all. IRL, they've been terrible. They're terrible. And then in the Mountain West, UNLV got a huge win over Houston, 27-7. A big win for the Rebels. A big win for UNLV. A big win for the Rebs. Yeah, pretty big stuff in college football. We still got some more games on tonight. We got the LSU USC game later tonight. That should be a big game tonight. And then tomorrow's going to be Boston College, Florida State. So FSU versus Boston College. Florida State did suffer a big loss in Ireland last week. So could be a pretty big win. That would be week 1. Yeah, week 2 is going to come up next, and there's going to be some pretty insane games. And there are going to be some pretty big games in week 2. Mostly it's going to be big game coming on this week for week 2 is going to be probably, if I were to look at the schedule, big game next week would probably be Tennessee, NC State. That should be a good one. That should be one of the big ones next week. Boise State, Oregon should be pretty good. That should be a big game though next week. Tennessee, NC State. That's probably going to be likely. Or game day is going to be next for college game day. Is where I think it's going to go next. So. So now we're about 14,000. So here we are, guys. We've officially climbed to our cruising altitude today at 4,000 feet. There isn't a lot I do want to talk about Utah right now. I think I've already mentioned some of this. But Utah definitely is a really cool state. So let's take a look at the scenery out here today. Man, it looks nice up here today. That's because we're flying alongside the eastern edges of the mountain ranges here in the Wasatch Valley. Yeah, all of this is mountain. Like I said, the Washington United States is definitely the much more scenic of the two halves of the contiguous 48. Probably can tell. But our first stop is not going to be for quite a while. We're going to be in the air for quite a bit of a while. But we'll talk more about Grand Teton, though. We'll cover Grand Teton, Yellowstone on the stream, so it won't be until a little while, though, till we get there. Just gorgeous scenery today. This scenery in this sim is just gorgeous today. But I think I got this schedule. I got next week's plans of schedules for next week. So next week I got some pretty interesting stuff that we will be covering next week. So on Wednesday we actually are going to have an ATR stream in Colorado. This should be exciting to do some ATR ops. We haven't had a full-on ATR stream in a while. So we're going to do some regional airline flights. We'll be flying from either Denver or Fort Collins, Colorado, and we'll make our way through Durango. Which should be a really scenic flight for sure. But yeah, we'll be taking the ETR for the flight. So that should be exciting. Then on Friday, we'll be flying from Bozeman over to Vancouver. We'll also have a stop in Spokane, Washington. So we'll do the 737-700s for that one. But we'll fly from Bozeman over to Spokane, Washington. And then from Spokane, we'll make our way through the Cascade Mountains into Vancouver, British Columbia. That'll be in the 737-700. And then finally, for next Sunday's stream, we'll be taking the venerable D6 out once again for the first time in quite a long while. But we'll be flying the D6 from Vancouver over to Ketchikan, Alaska, which should set up nicely for the Inside Passage flight, which we'll be flying to the Inside Passage of Alaska, which should be absolutely stunning. And I think you guys are going to be very excited for that when that comes into... So that should be very exciting for you guys. that should be a really good set of content for this week, for next week. Beautiful canyons and stuff here. Just stunning. So yeah, this first flight is going to be about 188 nautical miles. That's going to be quite a bit of a flight. Be quite a bit of a. But man, this scenery is still gorgeous. I mean, mountains and all that helps this region kind of stand out even more so than usual. But I think I'm another serious idea. Once I do this around the world trip, which is going to take us about a year or two, about an additional year or two of streams, I think my next trip is going to be, my next journey is going to probably be, and that's going to take us a long, long ways. We still got a long way to go to visit all. That's what I probably want to do for the next one, but about to enter like the Wasatch Range of uh, Utah. So that is actually, yeah, we're right around this area is the Wasatch Range of Utah. Around this whole area. And it runs north and south across the border, would be around that kind of mountain. And that's what lines a lot of Salt Lake City. It's one of the many mountain ranges in all of Utah. The mountains we're going to be flying over to is called Uinta Mountains, which features Kings Peak, which is actually the highest point in Utah. So we should be flying not far from Kings Peak. So I think it's right over around here somewhere is the highest point in Utah. Should be a nice flight. Yeah, as soon as we get past Kings Peak, we'll learn a little bit about the state of Wyoming for a bit. Because I know a lot of people like to make jokes about Wyoming, mainly a lot of people who are ignorant of the state of Wyoming. Pick our way through up here in this area. Here's the Uinta Mountain. But man, this area is gorgeous. Utah is such a pretty state. A lot of people don't realize just how pretty the state Utah really is. We did visit the national parks on Friday from Las Vegas. It was absolutely just breathtaking scenery all around between Zion, Bryce Canyon, Capitol Reef, Canyonlands, and Arches. I mean, the scenery was just outstanding yesterday on Friday. And I think this is going to be a really nice scenic flight too. So we'll be checking that out here. Yeah, just breathtaking. So I do want to talk a little bit about Wyoming once we get past Kings Peak. Because there is some bit of Wyoming I do really want to talk about on this trip. So we'll be entering Wyoming pretty soon. This landlocked state is actually the least populous state in the country at only 576,000 people, less than Alaska, actually. And that's despite being the fact it's the 10th largest state in the country per area. Its state capital most populous city is actually in Cheyenne, which is only 65,000 people live in Cheyenne. Which is pretty crazy to think about. The state's divided into two. The western half of the rangelands of the Rocky Mountains. The eastern half is high elevation prairie. Now, the indigenous people, there were quite a lot of indigenous people that lived in this area, mainly the Arapaho, the Crow, Lakota, and the Shoshone peoples were some of the historic and federally recognized tribes in Wyoming. Wyoming was the 44th state of the Union in March 27, 1890. And its economy is largely based on tourism and mineral extraction like coal, natural gas, oil, and chrona, which is basically trisodium hydrodicarbonate hydride, which is mainly used for all sorts of stuff. It's one of the least religious states in the country, and it was the first state in the United States to have women the right to vote. As a result, it's known as the Equality State, is Wyoming's nickname. Some pretty cool stuff about Wyoming. Now, Wyoming's definitely a state I would love to visit, because of all the different national parks and all that sort of stuff. Like I said, I know it lacks, what it lacks in like a lot of big cities and stuff. Its nature is definitely what allows Wyoming to truly shine. This is the United Mountain. Orange here. Kings Peak and all that is. to our left here is Kings Peak. That is Utah's highest point is Kings Peak to our left. Pretty crazy that this is the tallest point in all of Utah. Crazy mountain range. So more about Wyoming, and to continue on what I just wanted to point out. Wyoming actually, in terms of towns and stuff, it's outside of Cheyenne being the biggest. The next four biggest cities in all of Wyoming, cities and towns in the country, in the state. Number 2 is Casper with 59,000 people. Living Casper, known as the Oil City. Number 3 is Gillette, founded in 1891 as a major railway town. 4th is Laramie, and it's actually the only major college town in the state, as it's the home of the University of Wyoming. It's Cowboys. And then number 5 is Rock Springs, which is with 23,000 people. So, pretty interesting stuff. Like I said, there are not many people. Even Alaska's got more people. Crazy to believe. So one of the big things about Trona. Now, Trona is actually used for glass, paper, soaps, and baking soda. What is mainly manufactured. Also, unlike most states, Wyoming does not have a corporate or individual income tax. So instead, there's a 4% sales tax with Wyoming. But in terms of sports stuff, you'll like find any major sports teams in Wyoming. The big sports team in that state is University of Wyoming, the Cowboys, which are most well known for their especially their basketball and football teams are quite popular in the States. And they play one of the highest altitudes of any Division I sports team at 7,200 feet above sea level, which is a whole 2,000 feet more than, almost 2,000 feet more than Denver. Pretty nuts. going to go ahead and descend down a little bit to 10,000 feet. I'm going to go ahead and So we're going to make our way over to Kilo Echo Mike Mike for our first stop. This is at the town of KEMM-KJAC-KBZN. So that's where we're going to end up making our first stop. But Wyoming's definitely a pretty cool state, and there's some things to do. According to TripAdvisor, which is what I use to things to do. Some of the major areas for tourism and some of the cities to go through. But the main places that for tourists and like visitors, of course, the main cities include Cody, Jackson, Cheyenne, and Laramie. But of course, the two places I want to visit most in Wyoming would be of course Jackson and Cody, because they're both really cool. Jackson has, of course, Grand Teton National Park. Absolutely awesome to visit. And it is absolutely gorgeous. If you guys never seen the pictures of Jackson or ever have visited there, it's a gorgeous town, especially for wild nature lovers. Well, for history stuff, I think Cody would be amazing because you got all the Wild West stuff, the Old West back in the day. I mean, they got Cody's got the Buffalo Bill Center to the west, the old Trail Town, Wild Spectacular, the Buffalo Bill Dam, the Cody Firearms Museum. You got their own rodeo, Shoshone National Forest. They got a lot of stuff in Cody. You're a history buff. But there's just a lot to do in these Wyoming towns. While Laramie's got, of course, the University of Wyoming and stuff, and Cheyenne has obviously got the only thing that resembles like a big city in that state. yeah, guys, I hope you're enjoying this trip. I think this has been a really nice flight so far. Let's see who's following along with me on this morning stream. Yeah, the scenery here is just really nice. I mean, you know, before, if I wasn't doing the all-around country road patrol trip, the series I would have done was the 50 states and 50 streams, which would be Friday, Sunday streams. We'll be checking out each state in alphabetical order, starting with Alabama, Alaska. We check out each of the 50 states in the United States. I think our airport's coming up really soon. I think that might be our airport. Wait. North. In Wyoming. Nice. So once after we land here, remember when we take off, we'll cover Grand Teton. So this should be this lake. Thankfully, will be a much lower altitude of only 11,000. We'll cover Grand Teton National and Grand Teton National Park, and also going to be Jackson. We'll be flying a bit over Jackson, Wyoming. So we'll cover that. There's the
Check gear. Check gear. Check gear. Check gear. Check gear. Check
gonna make our
gear.
first Sorry about that. First stop of the day. Hey, there's Copper sticking the F-18. Good to see you, my dude. Go on in. Welcome on in. We're gonna go ahead and set up the break for a bit. We'll take a bit about a minute break if anyone else wants to join on in. Nice to see you. So we're in beautiful Wyoming today. Beautiful area, guys. I hope you get. No worries, Copper Stick. I got plenty of good info for you guys. Like I said, I'm happy to give you guys some information about each U.S. state. Let's go ahead and prepare for the next leg. We're going to fly up to Jackson Hole. Thankfully, this one's going to be a lesser altitude. We're going to be flying at 11,000 feet for the next leg. Let's go ahead and prepare for the next leg. Okay, guys. Next stop, Grand Teton National Park. So let's go ahead and start talking about Grand Teton here. Um, Grand Teton National Park. Here it is, one of the great national parks in the country. This national park in northwest Wyoming covers around 310,000 acres of land. The park includes the major peaks along the 40-mile-long Teton Mountain Range, as well as the northern sections of the Valley Jackson Hole, which is a it's only this national park is only 10 miles south of Yellowstone. Um, this, along with the national forest, forms the 18 million acre Greater Yellowstone ecosystem, one of the world's largest intact temperate ecosystems in the globe. This national park is an absolute beauty of a place to visit. People have been around here for 11,000 years when the first nomadic people came into the region. However, the first explorers were in the 19th century, mainly a lot of fur traders before governments have finally went to the expeditions. Efforts to begin this area came in the 19th century as a national park, and in 1929 it was finally established as a national park. It's named after the tallest mountain in the Teton Range, Grand Teton, which goes up to 13,775 feet. It has numerous lakes, including the 15-mile-long Jackson Lake, and it has almost pristine ecosystem, home to dozens of species of mammals, hundreds of species of thousands of species of plants, lots of bird and fish species. It's a popular destination for mountaineering, hiking, and fishing. Um, Absolutely gorgeous place to visit. Grand Teton. It's one of the national parks I would love to visit. And what's nice about this part of Wyoming would be that both these great national parks are right next to each other. So you could spend a couple days in Jackson and you in Cody, and you could spend at Yellowstone. Unbelievable. So in terms of geography, at least, one of the nice parts about Grand Teton has been its geography. Um, it's located in northwestern Wyoming, and of course, a lot of this park covers the Teton Mountain Range. And believe it or not, the Teton Range is actually the youngest mountain range in the entire Rocky Mountains. And it began forming only just 6 to 9 million years ago. Um, so that's what caused, and it was due to the fact there was a series of earthquakes along the Teton Fault that displaced the western side of the fault upward. And eventually, every 300 years, it increased by a foot, which eventually led to it being the mountain we know. In addition to Grand Teton, there's also 9 other peaks that are above 12,000 feet above sea level. 8 of these peaks are often photographed, the Cathedral Group, which are often very much photographed by a lot of people. You also have Jackson Hole, which is a 55-mile long valley that's about 6,800 feet average. And this is where a lot of people live around, is the valley, Jackson Hole. Beautiful valley, and then of course you have lakes and rivers. Most of them are formed by glaciers, and the largest is Lake Jackson Lake. And there even some bit of glaciation. However, many of them are long vanished since then. But this park has quite diverse geography, and there's some beautiful pictures like this one. Grand Teton. Just gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous areas to visit. Geology-wise, of course, the rocks itself, actually, even though the range is quite young, some of the rocks are very old. Some of them were dated back to 2,680, over almost 2 billion years old. But there are some that are even older, and they were formed out between 4 to 2.5 billion years ago. And these rocks include gneiss, schist, and amphibolites. Yeah, these rocks are old, really old. The region was under shallow sea during the pre-Cambrian period. However, during the Paleozoic, you see sandstone, shale, limestone were deposited. And of course, over the times, it went through a lot of uplifts and erosional sequences, and it formed the modern Grand Teton today. In terms of flora ecology, there are a lot of flora and fauna living here. So I want to talk about the flora first of Grand Teton. So for the flora, Grand Teton is home to over 1,000 species of vascular plants, and it has a multitude of different ecological zones, including the Alpine Tundra, Rocky Mountains subalpine zone, where you can find lots of fir forest, and the flowery flora with the mix between conifer and deciduous forest, which intermixes with the sagebrush plains. There's also wetlands as well. Um, of course, there's also different levels where trees can be found. Now, of course, above 10,000 feet, you can find hundreds of different grass species of grass, wildflower, moss, and lichen are found. And then at the South Alpine region, you can find white bark pine, limber pine, and Engelmann spruce trees or silver spruce can be found in dominant. In probably the Valley Floor, you can find the most commonly being the lodgepole pine. But other types of trees inhabit different areas, from the Douglas fir and Bruce spruce to hotwood, alder, and willow in around the wetland. Tons of different tree species. As well. In terms of fauna, there's about 61 species of mammals in Grand Teton National Park. One of the most famous animals that live there, it is the gray wolf, which was originally extirpated in the 1900s. However, many of them have migrated back thanks to them reintroducing the gray wolf from Yellowstone. In addition to the gray wolf, another 17 species of carnivorans reside around the park, including the famous grizzly bear, the American black bear, coyote, river otter, marten, and badgers. Occasional sightings of cougar, lynx, and wolverine. There's also larger animals, and most well known is the elk, which exist in the thousands. Lots of elk. In fact, many of them can be found in the National Elk Refuge in Jackson Hole. Of course, other ungulates include the moose, which is the largest deer species in the world, the bison, and the pronghorn, the fastest land mammal in the Western Hemisphere. And fun fact, despite the pronghorn actually being looking like an antelope, it's not actually an antelope. You'd be surprised, the closest related relatives are actually the giraffe and the copy. That's right, this thing is more related to a giraffe than it is to an antelope. Go figure. Ooh. There's also bird species, most well known from the smallest bird species in North America, being the Caleo hummingbird, to the largest waterfowl, the trumpeter swan. You have the harlequin duck, bald eagles, golden eagles, red-tailed hawks, great horned owls, magpies, jays, grouses, herons. Tons of animal species live in there as well. Overall, though, lots of different animals that live all over on National. And finally, for recreation, Grand Teton is a very popular destination for mountain and rock climbers due to the fact they're very accessible by road, as well as marked routes been established. And for the experience of it, you can climb most of these peaks within a day. The highest maintained climbs are to man the divides, and about 4,000 climbers a year attempt to make the summit of Grand Teton. However, any climbing required in overnight stay does have to require a permit. But a lot of people do like to try and climb up the mountains up there as well. In addition to mountaineering, it's a very popular destination for campgrounds. A lot of people like to camp around Grand Teton National Park. The park has over 200 miles of hiking trails from easy to strenuous. Some of the easy are within the valley due to the lack of altitude change around the park. It's also a popular destination for boating and fishing. Oh, shoot. And people do fish, but they have to require a permit. And then in the winter, snowshoe and cross-country skiing during the winter time. And that is some of the recreational centers here in the national park, Grand Teton. However, there are some risks involved in Grand Teton. The thing you gotta be careful is bears. So you gotta be careful. Other concerns include bugs, insects, wildfire, snow conditions, and cold temperatures during the night. So yeah, do be careful when you get to the national park. So yeah, there's Wyoming Peak to our right. There is Wyoming Peak. And that is actually the tallest mountain in Wyoming, by the way. If you look to our right, it's Wyoming Peak, the tallest point in all of Wyoming. Located in Bridger Teton National Forest, and it's around 11,380. It's actually the tallest mountain of the Wyoming range. However, it's not the tallest park in Wyoming. I believe the tallest point in Wyoming, is the tallest point in Wyoming in Teton? Actually, no. Gannett Peak's the tallest peak in Wyoming is Gannett Peak. But man, this area is gorgeous. This gorgeous area. Man, this is like this sim. This sim is just gorgeous. Gorgeous scene. Oh, nice. We've got a new due schedule this week. Oh yeah, we got a new monthly schedule. Shannon this month. We're gonna be doing some flights out of Shannon. Should be interesting to do some due schedule stuff. So yeah, I gotta do some Shannon stuff. Also, Merce channel this week. For Monday, he'll be back Monday on his streams. He will be doing on Monday the next part of the Euro Crash. He's going to travel from Posadi in Slovakia, he's going to make his way down to Hungary. He'll make his way over to Bratislava, Dorp, and Budapest. So he'll be taking that. So that'll be what he's going to do on Monday. While we wait for Wednesday's stream. This should be pretty fun stuff. Oh yeah, and they also got more info for next year's Flight Sim Expo. So it's going to be held at the Rhode Island Convention Center, which is only just going to be a short 15-minute drive from the airport. Nice. The year primary hotel is the Omni Downtown Province. It's just the attendee rate is going to be only $199 a night. It should be nice. Yeah, that's going to be nice. I'll have to see more of the travel details. But hey, that's going to be nice to actually know. There's Copper Stick there. This is just gorgeous. Here in Wyoming, it does. This is all part of the Virgin Teton Forest. That is gorgeous scenery. I was not expecting this to be nice. We haven't even gotten the Grand Teton yet. Is this nice? Ah, the scenery. Edible scenery. Wyoming. That's funny because the whole eastern side of Wyoming is all prairie. It's high plains, the prairie. Then of course you go west, you get to see a lot of the natural scenery. gorgeous. So we're not going to be far from Jackson, Wyoming. If you guys aren't aware about Jackson, this is a very popular resort town. Population of 10,000 people as of 2020. It's the largest town in the Teton County. However, this area gets way more people when tourists come around, and it's thanks to its proximity to resorts of Jackson Hole Mountain, Snow King Mountain, and Grand Targhee, as well as Grand Teton and Yellowstone. This thing gets way more busy with tourists. A lot more. It was incorporated in 1914. This is a very popular place for a lot of nature lovers. It's also got several arts and culture, including its own music festival, National Museum of Wildlife Art, and of course the two national parks, Grand Teton and Yellowstone. And there have been multiple movies shot around Jackson, including Rocky IV was filmed here, The Big Sky, and Django Unchained was filmed here too. It's also been a major location in both The Last of Us and The Last of Us Part 2 games, which is home to a large community of survivors. So Jackson was a major part, and it also gained with as well. Some notable people here include Sandra Bullock, who was born in Jackson Hole. He was actually born from Jackson Hole. You have Jimmy Chin, a climber, photographer, and Academy Award-winning film director. The 26th governor of Wyoming, Clifford Hansen. John Franklin Mars is the businessman and heir to the Mars Candy Company. And professional snowboarder Travis Rice. So that is Jackson, Wyoming in a nutshell. And of course, our second stop is Jackson Hole, Wyoming. Jackson Hole Airport. Jackson Hole Airport, it is actually Wyoming's busiest airport, believe it or not. Yes, it may be only 6,300 feet long, but it is actually Wyoming's busiest airport. Last year, 986,000 people flew in and out of Jackson. But this is especially becomes peak during the summer and winter months. And during that time, it has nonstop service to up to 15 destinations in the United States. However, it's served year-round by Alaska, American, Delta, and United Airlines. And fun fact, it is the only commercial airport in the United States located inside of a national park. In this case, Grand Teton. And this was actually built in the 1930s. And it was actually placed here because it was the best place to locate it. However, again, it was right in the grounds of the national park. So this area is very noise sensitive. It's also a popular mating ground for the rare sage grouse. But it's a really cool airport, and it's one of the most scenic and stunning airports to fly in and out of. If you guys ever got the chance to fly in and out Jackson in the airliners, you should probably do that. It's definitely well worth it to fly in and out of. So some destinations include Seattle, San Francisco, San Diego, Dallas, Charlotte, Chicago, LA, Salt Lake City, Atlanta, and Denver. So definitely a lot of different places flying out of Jackson. It's a really cool airport. It's a really cool hub. So I think we're not far from Jackson. And of course, here is Grand Teton National Park. There's Jackson. There is the town of Jackson. There's the town of Jackson. Absolutely gorgeous town. It is definitely a place I really want to like Jackson. Jackson and Cody, those are both amazing towns. Here's Jackson. That's going to be for the photo album this one. absolutely gorgeous. And there is Jackson Hole Airport. It is.
Check gear.
But yeah, what a stunning airport. It is one of my favorite airports to fly to in the Western United States. It's such a great airport. Thankfully, and that's why I'm very happy to say that this is now a company route for Firefly Air. This is now a company route for our West US hub, and it also both our West US and our Canadian hub. So this is going to be a great place to fly to is Jackson. What an absolutely gorgeous airport. I've flown this airport in this plane. I've landed this place plenty of times in the airliners. This is the real challenge is trying to take off with the airliners, especially with the 757 because that is the largest plane to do regular airline service is the 75. It's the largest plane that actually does regular service. 757-200. That's gonna be the real challenge for you guys is try to take off and land with that 75. That's why I'm pretty excited for that 75-200 to come into the sim. Because that's going to be the real challenge out of Atlanta. That's going to be a real challenge for all you pilots. Hey, Kata, good to see ya. Welcome on in, Kata. Definitely check out her streams here on Twitch. Definitely check her out. She's really good. So, Kata, we're about to land at beautiful Jackson Hole Airport. One of the nice. Getting ready for work. No worries, Kata. Thank you for coming by. Hope things go smoothly for you. And of course, we're landing at beautiful Jackson Hole Airport, one of the most stunning airports in the western half of the United States. One of my its approach, by the way, if you guys never did the runway 19 approach, I highly recommend you guys do that um because you'll fly over some bit of Grand Teton, you'll fly over even a little bit of Yellowstone. It's just I don't think you get into much more stunning territory than that. Thankfully, though, the runway leaf shouldn't be a problem here with this FS Reborn 500. The M500 should have no problem. It should be no problem with the plane. Yeah, I can't believe this small little airport can take the 75s. Oh boy, it's already tough enough to try and take off with a 73-800. Like because here's the thing, this airport's also 6,400 feet above sea level. Like this airport kind of reminds me of Lake Tahoe, which was our airline's former former hub, but it was just a lot shorter. It's about 2,000 feet longer than that. Which I mean, it was fine for like GA sort of stuff. That was fine. Or I did like Lake Tahoe for the airliner stuff because Tahoe just wasn't very good for the airliner stuff. Because if you couldn't land a 733, you couldn't land a 777. We'll just stop here for just a short bit. Oh yeah, and Grand right there you got Grand Teton in the background. That is just yeah, nice direct approach. Yeah. But according to TripAdvisor, there are a couple of activities you can do here at Jackson. They said the number one thing to do in Jackson for in terms of favorites, um, is according to their favorites is the National Museum of Wildlife Art. Then you got the National Elk Refuge, the town square. They got the Jackson Hole Rodeo. Brandon Hot Springs Pool, Jackson Hole Playhouse, Lawrence Rockefeller Preserve, Antelope Flats, Sons of Mountain. They got a winery down there. They even got their own little shootout as well. Tons of really cool stuff to do in Jackson. Great place for tourists. And of course, one of the other things you can do in Jackson is they got all the different tours. They got a lot of really cool tours. Look at some of the tours they do. You could do horseback riding, a whole half-day tour of Grand Teton, Snake River float trip, wildlife floats, Yellowstone Lower Loop, full day, whitewater rafting, UTV stuff, wildlife safaris. You could do a couple days in Jackson. For that guy to be there. That guy being there. That's Coppistick. He's done plenty of that sort of stuff. It's Coppistick. He's a really talented pilot. Good friend of mine too. You mean the traffic guy? Yeah, it's kind of a weird place. I blame the sim for where it's parked. The way this airport was loading. So for the altitude for each of the legs, the highest point is going to be. I guess we could do 9,500 feet for the next leg. That'll be the highest point we can go is 9,500 feet. But yeah, let's go ahead and get prepared for the flight to Grand. Oh yeah. Let's go ahead and visit Yellowstone National Park. We're gonna go a little slower for this leg. I'll attempt to go a bit slow. So that way we can take a bit of time to explore Yellowstone. Let's go talk about Yellowstone National Park, shall we? Yellowstone. You guys all know about this national park. Don't know about Yellowstone, I don't know what's wrong with you. No, seriously. What is wrong with Yellowstone? This is actually established. It is considered the first national park in the United States, and maybe the first one in the world in 1872, when it was signed into law by President Ulysses S. Grant. This park is world famous for its wildlife and its many geothermal features, mainly the old faith, and it's also a very diverse area for the ecosystem. Thanks to its Greater Yellowstone ecosystem, one of the world's largest intact temperate ecosystems in the world. And this national park is huge, 3,468 square miles, lakes, canyons, rivers, and mountain ranges. In fact, this park is so famous, it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It was one of the first ones, too, in 1978. And hundreds of species of animals live here, too. Most well-known being some of the largest and most famous megafauna locations in the United States. Grizzly bears, cougars, wolves, and of course, free-ranging herds of bison and elk. Absolutely gorgeous, and it's a very popular national park for tourists. Last year, over 4.5 million people visited Yellowstone. Really, really cool. So, I want to take a break for the notes for just a bit because, well, um, And that's because I got a photo opportunity here, guys. Take the picture here of Grand Teton. I would be fool if I didn't take this opportunity photo op with Grand Teton and famous Jenny Lake. I would be an utter fool to not try and take that picture. Yeah, this national park is absolute Grand Teton. Yeah. So looking forward to the geography of Yellowstone. The reason to talk about history because I felt like it would be a little long, and I want to spend more time looking at the park. So geography wise, this a lot of this, and the reason why this area is kind of flat and like there's not a lot of canyons and stuff, it's because all this is a part of a volcano, and much of it is run by the Continental Divide in the southwest of the park. Um, and it sits on the Yellowstone Plateau, which is around 8,000 feet above sea level. And this plateau is actually where they found a volcano. There used to be volcano eruptions here in Yellowstone. Apparently, some say that Yellowstone might itself still erupt. Um, into itself. In addition, it has some of the world's largest petrified forest. There's also over 290 different waterfalls and 3 deep canyons, most famously the Grand Canyon of the Yellowstone. But it's a pretty cool area as well. In fact, this park right here is actually larger than the states of Rhode Island and Delaware. That's a pretty fun fact for you guys. The geology, well, this caldera, it's located in the northeast end of Snake River Plain, and the volcanism in Yellowstone is believed to be the hotspot linked to an older volcanism of the Snake River Plain. And this caldera is actually the largest volcanic system in North America, only rivaled by Lake Toba caldera in Sumatra. And it's been termed as a supervolcano because it was formed by exceptionally large volcanic eruption. Some people believe that it could still erupt um, into a lot of eruptions. Which is pretty crazy to think about it. Apparently, if this ever did erupt, and if Yellowstone ever did erupt, apparently if Yellowstone were to erupt, it would definitely be a very catastrophic eruption. If it were to erupt, apparently ash can be as thick as about over 1,000 millimeters, and the eruption can be felt even as um, far east as like Miami and stuff. There would be ash everywhere. It'd be the worst in history. That's something to be careful of. But of course, this park is well known for its geysers, and there's a lot of geysers in this park. Most famous is Old Faithful, located in the Upper Geyser Basin, but also other ones like Castle Geyser, Lion Geyser, and Grand Geyser, the world's tallest geyser, are all located here in Yellowstone National Park. And there's about 10,000 of these features altogether, including geysers, hot springs, mud pots, and fumaroles. And there's also about thousands of small earthquakes every year. And there's only been 6 earthquakes with a magnitude 6 or greater in historical times. So that's something to be careful and keep in mind flying around Yellowstone. And then, of course, ecology, and this is the centerpiece of its own ecosystem. In terms of flora, there's about over 69,000 species of trees and other vascular plants native to the park. There's actually 8 different conifer species, including the lodge pine, which is around 80% of the total forested areas of the park, is lodgepole pine tree. There's also dozens of species of flowering plant, including the rare flowering plant, the Wyoming sand verbena. And they make their home in the sandy soils of the shore of Lake Yellowstone. During their hot waters, bacteria form mats of bizarre shapes of bacteria. Flies actually often live in them, too. Also, in addition, you can during these hot springs, you can find Thermus aquaticus, which is well known for producing the enzyme Taq polymerase, which is often used to replicate DNA, or PCR, polymerase chain reaction. They try to use it for cures of different diseases. In terms of fauna, it has some of the finest megafauna wildlife habitat in the lower 48. And there are about 60 different mammals in the park, most notably the bison, as well as the Rocky Mountain wolf, coyote, cougars, and black bears. However, this park was actually most famous um, for actually the wolves. You see, back in the day, um, wolves had a long history in Yellowstone. You see, people originally hunted these wolves because a lot of people were afraid of losing their livestock because it was already being exterminated. So apparently, the U.S. Army tried to exterminate the wolves and get them out of Yellowstone. However, the major problem was with the absence of wolves, the elk populations are on the rise, and as a result, the deteriorations of Yellowstone declined drastically. And eventually, over decades, it brought the wolves back. So they reintroduced wolves in the 1960s and 70s, and it became very successful. They were reintroduced in 1995, and it became a pretty big success. As after the wolves were reintroduced, the ecosystems were turning back better than ever. So definitely very cool. Of course, it's also got large species of bison here too. Wow. Well, in addition to your bears and wolves, you also got lots of black bears and grizzly bears living in Yellowstone. About tens of thousands of elk species, as well as pronghorn and others. There's tons of great animals that live all across Yellowstone. And finally, is the famous recreation stuff. One of the most popular national parks in the United States. There's tons of things to do. Lots of roads, You do lots of road tours and stuff, self-guided tours for motorized transport. There's also, of course, many inns, including the historical Old Faithful Inn in Fort Yellowstone's Mammoth Hot Springs district. There's also over a dozen campgrounds are very popular camping. Hunting is not permitted, though it is allowed in the surrounding national forest during open season. Fishing is a popular activity. You have to have a license for it, and many of these bars are fly fishing only. And all native fish species are catch release only. However, earlier in the year, people were allowed to feed the bears, but that's not a good idea. And all that. So that is the notes about Yellowstone National Park. We're going to go ahead and explore a bit of the national park. We're going to slow down a bit. So our first stop here at beautiful Yellowstone National Park is Lake Yellowstone. Yeah, we did a whole stream in Yellowstone during the trip. It was with the Optica. We took off from West Yellowstone, and we did a whole stream stuff. We went around Yellowstone, then we explored this part. We went to Cody, then we went back up from Cody, went through the Grand Canyons areas of all that again, and made our way back to Devil's Den to Guardian. So we explored all of Yellowstone. Here's Lake Yellowstone. Look at the state of this guy. Yellowstone is just. Yellowstone is definitely a must-do in Wyoming. When I get to Wyoming, Yellowstone is a must-do. Obvious. Oh, look, there's Rubber Duck. Oh, did he crash his P3 in Lake Yellowstone? Oh no. Just hope you watch out for the bears. Well, those can get quite bad up there. I don't know what's more dangerous, the bears or the bison. I think bison probably worse. At least bears. Some bears, if you can stand your ground, the bears probably don't bother you. But bison, they can get a little aggressive. Yeah, I gotta watch out for those in Yellowstone. Yeah, Yellowstone, very popular in pop culture, and there's a lot of different things about Yellowstone in pop culture. Of course, Yellowstone has been featured in a couple ships. Some of the ships are USS Yellowstone. It's a rich area of pop culture. So our next waypoint is going to be Old Faithful. We'll be checking out the geyser. Oh, nice. Yep. That's correct. That's the hotel that's going to be available. There's Rubber Duck and Copper Stick with me. So, guys, I hope you're all enjoying the stream. If you guys are enjoying the stream and haven't followed the channel and enjoying the stream, why don't you guys smash that follow button and support the channel? We stream here 3 days a week on Wednesdays, Fridays, and Sundays. So we will return back on this trip, around the world trip Friday. We'll be going from Bozeman over to Vancouver. And then next Sunday is going to be Vancouver over to Ketchikan, Alaska, flying across British Columbia. We'll get to see some beautiful landscapes in the DC. Should be absolutely stunning. Should be stunning. Oh, nice. Yeah, you're gonna be visiting Vancouver. We're gonna fly all the way to KCNY. Yeah. But the reason I didn't want to do Vancouver to Alaska is because I want to get to Asia pretty quickly. I don't want to visit Vancouver and stuff. So right around this area should be where Old Faithful should be. Ah, there. Oh, look at that! Old Faithful just erupted. There goes Old Faithful. Here she is. Just spouted. Oh my goodness, she just. Did you guys see that? Just sprouted. You guys missed it. Oh, that was good timing, that's for sure. Oh, that was. Oh my god, Old Faithful. Really was faithful to us. Found through all that. Okay, our next destination is the Grand Prismatic Spring. We should probably be seeing that very closely. And then from there, we'll head up to the Grand Canyon of Yellowstone. Yeah, we're gonna hit all the Yellowstone destinations. 7. I mean, what a like this Yellowstone is just gorgeous here. Can't wait to see what it looks like in 24. Here in the sim. There's also Fairy Falls and all that nearby. There is the Grand Prismatic Spring. Oh yeah, there's the Grand Prismatic Spring. That's a yeah. This here is the Grand Prismatic Spring. So yeah, there's the Prismatic Spring. What a great shot. There's the hot spring over in this area. Gorgeous guy. Scenery in Yellowstone. Of course, the next place is going to be Grand Canyon Yellowstone. That'll be our next place. Absolutely incredible scene. Yeah, the Grand Prismatic. Yeah, it's definitely very cool from the air. So after we get through the Grand Canyon Yellowstone, we'll climb back up to around 11,000 feet so we can clear over some of the mountains leading to Bozeman, Montana. We'll get that ready to get going afterward. Pretty big stuff. This area is just super cool. Hey guys, what do you think is your guys' favorite part of the flight so far? I think my favorite is definitely exploring Yellowstone. It's great to explore Yellowstone again. You know, I've always had a soft spot for this national park. Just super pretty. Like this area, Northwest Wyoming, is absolutely gorgeous. Grand Teton, Yellowstone, and of course you also have all the national forests and stuff in this. Breathtaking. Let's so many amazing people here today. All of this is the Grand Canyon of Yellowstone, and that connects all the way to Yellowstone Falls. Right over here around this area is Yellowstone Falls. Grand Canyon of Yellowstone, and of course Yellowstone Falls. So yeah, one of the few canyons of Yellowstone. Not usually as much as other locations due to the fact. Are you visiting on Mount St. Helens? No, I'm not visiting St. Helens. We're flying from Bozeman to Spokane first. I mean, I mulled over originally a few plans to visit Glacier National Park, but I decided to instead just go straight to Vancouver and go all the way to Alaska. Because I want to get to the Inside Passage of Southeast Alaska. You guys never got the chance to do Southeast Alaska flying. You know how nice it is in Southeast Alaska. Grand Canyon of Yellowstone. And we're officially going to climb up to 11,000 feet. Up to. Yeah, look at that Grand Canyon, though. Look how huge that is. Yeah, we're actually going to head our way over to Bozeman, Utah. I'm going to go ahead and accelerate a bit. I got to get some more power so I can climb. Yeah. That is going to be Yellowstone, everyone. We're going to be flying over Mammoth Hot Springs, and that will be the last thing in Yellowstone. But I want to go ahead and talk about Bozeman, Montana for a bit. So we're going to be flying over Bozeman. If you guys don't know, Bozeman is actually Montana's fourth largest city. Population 52,293 people as of 2020. Is the fastest growing metropolitan statistical area in the United States during the years 2018 through 2020. Bozeman has been around since 1864, named after pioneer frontiersman John Bozeman. He um, he actually platted the town. Nelson Story was who was a business gold miner. He actually went into the cattle business here in Bozeman. And he helped build a lot of Montana's cattle industry. But Bozeman was well known for quite a few things. It was first, Bozeman is known for Montana State University, state's land grant college. Bozeman also had its first high school in 1902. This area was well known for a filming location. Quite a few films were located here. In pop culture, it's used as a filming location for a number of films: The Wildest Dreams, A River Run Through It, A Plum Summer in 2007, An Amazing Grace and Chuck in 1987. It was also the 2022 drama series 1923 features scenes of 1920s Bozeman. So that was filmed in nearby Butte, Montana. It was also features in the film Star Trek First Contact as the launch site for the first warp ship, 2063. It also gained numerous coverage as well due to a property boom. And some notable business and industries include Montana State University, as well as a couple of high-tech companies of lasers and optical equipment. There's also quite a bit of things to do here in Bozeman. Some of the places include the American Computer Museum, which talks about the history of computing. You have the Montana Arboretum and Gardens, the campus of Montana State. They have the Museum of the Rockies, for its paleontology about the area of the Rocky Mountain, and more. Some notable people from Bozeman. Some of the people that were actually born in Bozeman include Brock Coyle of the Seattle of the San Francisco 49ers Seahawks. You have U.S. Triple Crown winner Willie Saunders, who won the Triple Crown in 1935, born in Bozeman. You also have Brandon Braga, who is the writer producer of Star Trek. He was born in Bozeman. You also have voice actors from the incredible Sarah Vowell. And then some people born in business and politics include Zales Ecton, former U.S. Senator of Montana, and Lieutenant Governor of Montana John Bollinger Jr. There's some pretty well-known people from Bozeman, Montana. No worries, Kata. Have a great. Hope things at work go well for you. Yeah, there's Mammoth Hot Springs in that area. So. Yeah, our final stop will be at Bozeman Yellowstone International Airport. Believe it or not, this is actually Montana's busiest airport. It took over for Billings in 2013. It was originally known as Gallatin Field. However, it was changed to Bozeman Yellowstone to make it associate with Yellowstone National Park, and that actually worked because in 2013 it surpassed the airport in Billings, Montana's largest city, and it has not looked back. Its KO is Kilo Bravo Zulu November. In fact, in 2020 and 2021, it went to a record 31 nonstop destinations as airlines entered this new market. It's hard to believe this. It's crazy to think this airport's busy, but there are tons of destinations. You'd be surprised. Some of the destinations include Portland, Seattle, Boise, San Diego, San Francisco, Las Vegas, Nashville, Phoenix, Austin, LA, Oakland, Dallas, Chicago, Charlotte, Burbank, Atlanta, Minneapolis, Salt Lake City, Boston, New York, JFK, Denver, Dallas, Love, Newark, and Washington Dulles. Like, that's crazy. How well connected this airport is. Bozeman. I'm surprised someone has not made a scenery for Bozeman. I think it would be a great candidate for a scenery here. I think it would make a fantastic candidate for a third-party scenery. Why hasn't someone made Bozeman? I think it would be a great scenery. I hope someone makes one of that. It's a cool airport. Cool airport with a rich history. But yeah, I really wish someone could make a scenery for Bozeman. In fact, if Bozeman were to be, uh, it, I think if I was doing my regional airline stuff, I think Bozeman would be one of my regional hubs. Bozeman would be perfect for that because out of this area you get to airports such as Jackson, Jackson Hole, Cody, Billings, Helena, Missoula, Great Falls, Boise, Lewiston. Like, it would be a great little regional hub to connect to the Big Sky Country. It would be really nice. It'd be a great all-around airport for those kinds of flights. So yeah, that's the notes for today's trip, everyone. Hope you guys liked the notes that I worked on. So yeah, thank you guys so much for enjoying this along with me. So absolutely, just what a great flight. We have Rubber Duck in Cop and Stick with us, and this is just fantastic. Mountain Valley. So yeah, we'll find someone to raid after when we land in Bozeman, Yellowstone. We'll probably take a raid over to Okandu. We'll check out what Okandu's doing. Look at the formation plan. That's awesome, guys. Fantastic. How was that? So after we get across the mountain, we're going to descend down to 6,000 feet. Go ahead and get ready for the descent down to 6,000. Or at least 6,500 feet. Let's just... So yeah, Bozeman's well known for Montana State University, which was founded back in 1893. It enrolls more. In fact, it enrolls more students at any other college or university in the state of Montana. It offers baccalaureate degrees in 60 fields, and master degrees in 68 fields, and doctoral degrees in 35 fields through 9 different colleges. It's actually 1,100 acres, which is the largest in the state. Um, its teams are known as the Bobcats. They play in Division One. They play in the FCS for football. Their most well-known sports are basketball and football, are the two big, as well as rodeo. They're well known for rodeo too. Some of the notable people from Montana State include Senator Steve Daines, NFL place kicker John Strandrud, who's in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, by the way. Great kickers. Well, successful head coach in Purdue football, Joe Tiller. And voice actor Sarah Vowell. For some of the well-known alumni of Montana State. Yeah, pretty cool stuff. Yeah, the Museum of the Rockies is one of the other places you visit. It has the largest collection of North American dinosaur fossils in the United States, including the largest T-Rex skull ever discovered. Yeah, Montana State football is a big deal. They won 3 national championships most recently in 1984, but they've been quite successful for the college for FCS football. And of course, their big rival for Montana State is, well, University of Montana in Missoula. Their big rival. This is Bozeman, everyone. Welcome to Bozeman. Yeah, I think this would be a good spot for a regional hub. Because after all, it's beautiful. The area is stunning. Some of the approaches here are nice. I thought it would be great to give this area a chance to grow as a virtual airline hub, regional hub. And yeah, their big rivals though for Montana State, it is with Montana, the University of Montana in Missoula. They play for the Great Divide Trophy. Um, and it's one of the big rivalries in Division One football, especially for the FCS school. Big rivalry. They played football ever since their first meeting in 1897. They played 122 times. Montana leads the series with 74 wins and 74, 42, and 5. Both rivals have combined to win 5 FCS national championships. 40 conference titles, 64 All-Americans. Very successful FCS football program. And the Great Divide Trophy was more recent, 2001. And it weighs 306 pounds, one of the heaviest college football trophies in the country. Though that's not actually the largest. Whoops, sorry about that. I'll lower the volume. You want to blow out your guys' eardrums. We tip the land here in Bozeman, Montana. Oh yeah, the Joe Moore Award, the most outstanding offensive line, is the biggest trophy in college football. However, the largest, most expensive trophy is actually the Fremont Cannon for UNLV in Nevada. It weighs 545 pounds, and it costs $10,000 to build the old Fremont Cannon. Yeah, there's been some great college football trophies over the years. To continue on that, there's definitely some pretty interesting ones. For example, Oregon versus Oregon State is the Platypus Trophy. One of the really cool ones, the Iron Skillet. TCU SMU played for the Iron Skillet. Dating back to 1946. But there's some really cool ones, though. Texas, Oklahoma, for example, played for the Golden Hat. But I think the coolest rivalry trophy. But one of the coolest trophy, though, in my opinion, gotta be Paul Bunning's axe with Minnesota, Wisconsin. Such a cool trophy. So yeah, that's it, guys. We made our way over to beautiful Bozeman, Montana, everyone. And I mean, look at that as that would drop. So, guys, thank you all so much for this amazing stream here today. Where I hope you guys had a great time. We explored the beautiful Grand Teton Yellowstone today. So we will officially return back to our streams on Wednesday. We'll be in beautiful, um, we'll be at Denver International Airport, and we'll actually make our way over to Durango. We'll be doing some ATR 72 regional flying, in Colorado. So this should be a fantastic trip. So guys, and if we have enough time, we might even do a return trip back to Eagle County, Colorado. So guys, see you around soon. Take care, everyone, and have a great rest of your weekend. Goodbye, everyone.